It's time for FNPS After Hours.
FNPS After Hours.
FNPS After Hours.
FNPS After Hours.
Thanks for joining us for tonight's edition of After Hours.
FNPS After Hours.
Hello everyone, welcome to the October After Hours, and we haven't had one of these for a while, so I hope everyone's excited to meet Stacey Matrazzo. You may have known her because, Florida Wildflower Foundation has a tight relationship with a lot of our chapters. I personally didn't know her, so hey Stacey.
Hey.
So we're talking about a work transition, right? You are now the new executive director for the Florida Wildflower Foundation, but you have previously worked for and with the Florida Native Plant Society.
I have. Actually, I've been in the nonprofit world for probably since 2006, when I started doing freelance work for a bunch of different organizations. But so I was in textbook publishing, and that was really unfulfilling. There's a lot of waste and just a lot of discomfort. And so I went back to school and got a degree in environmental studies. And I fell in love with botany. I just really enjoyed my botany classes and getting to know Florida's plants. And so when I graduated, and let me be clear, I am not a botanist, but when I graduated, I asked my botany professor, like, what do I do? How do I keep, learning about plants and experiencing this? And he said, join a native plant society, which I'd never heard of, but I did. I went to a tar flower chapter meeting, probably, the next one that happened after I graduated, and he was right. It was amazing. I was going on field trips. But then I started volunteering for the organization. I volunteered for the chapter, or the tar flower chapter, to do their newsletter and to do some other graphics and stuff, since I had a little bit of that in my background. And then I got tapped to do the Stable Miner, the state newsletter, and I did that for several years. I also designed, as I was saying to you earlier, I was doing the conference program for a number of years as well. I've been involved in conference planning and, running field trips, and I did a youth program for the conference when we hosted it here in Orlando. That didn't take off. I think it was designed to let people bring their kids to the conference, but that kind of didn't flourish. But lots of involvement in FNPS, and then volunteering with the organization, and that introduced me to other organizations and other volunteer opportunities, and that kind of evolved into a lot of paying opportunities. So I kind of just built my cache of freelance clients that way. And that's how I got into the Florida Wildflower Foundation as well. They were one of my clients. I started doing their newsletter, and then Lisa Roberts, our former executive director, would, hey, can you do this for us? Can you do that? And I really wasn't interested in working full time for anybody. But I was really drawn to the mission, the people, Lisa especially. And so when she approached me about a program manager position, there was no question. And the rest is history.
Right. So that was the Viva Florida grant program, right?
Yeah. So that was one of the programs I took over initially. And that's our landscape demonstration grant program. So we give funding to parks, nature centers, any public space that wants to either create or enhance a native wildflower planting. And so, I took that on pretty early on when I was still doing contract work for the foundation. And I'm really proud of the program. It's grown considerably in scope and in popularity. We're getting a lot more applicants every year, which is great. It's so great to see this growing interest of, planting natives and educating the public about the importance, and, also showing how you can bring those plants into your own landscapes. But, more applications means it's more difficult to make the decision on who to fund. So I have a really good group of committee members now who help review those applications and those proposed projects. and they help me improve the whole process. So like right now, we're about to review the application again and see how we can streamline it. And then how can we, tailor the vetting process so we can really make sure that we're getting the projects that, that are mission oriented and that are also sustainable. So, having those people involved has been really just very important to this program being successful.
Sounds like you have a really strong board.
We have a great board and we have good committees. So we have, other volunteers who will participate at the committee level and provide expertise. We've got, nursery representatives and growers. We've got restoration people, a lot of different expertise will come together and really help guide our research programs, our planting programs, and our education programs too.
Yeah, I mean, clearly your grants have had like a huge impact on motivating folks to create urban and, not quite so urban pollinator habitat. I've been approached by a couple of chapters who are looking to start grant programs like yours. And I mean, I've never administered a grant program like this. So I thought that maybe this would be a good place for you to dispense any advice for chapters who wanted to do something like a grant program, but I mean, obviously at a much smaller scale.
Well, I mean, I think, it's important to first determine your focus. What is it that you as the funder want to support or are hoping to accomplish? And from there you can build the guidelines, to determine what the application process is going to be like. What kind of information do you need in order to understand if this project is actually going to meet that mission or fulfill, the goals of the chapter or the organization? And like I said, it's really important to have the right people in place who can offer those skills and experience. I don't have a lot of experience with, habitat restoration or, I know what I've done in my yard and I know what I write about and talk about, but having people that can say, no, I've done this in this type of habitat and it doesn't work, or, I'm oversimplifying, but really getting that team of experts who can critically look at what you're trying to accomplish and what those proposals are that you're receiving. And we use a rubric. You can develop a scorecard that will help kind of simplify. I don't really want to be simplifying, you don't want to reduce it down to just a bunch of numbers, but having that in place really kind of helps at least kind of narrow down the field if you've got a lot of applications. So yeah, I mean, I think really, determining your goals and figuring out what it is you want to do with the grant program is first and foremost. And then everything else kind of naturally falls into place if you have the right people to help flesh that out. Yeah.
I mean, this might be a good chapter board development activity. You might have people who are currently in the chapter who are excited about, more demonstration gardens or a garden in a certain place, but they don't necessarily want to be on the board, but a way for them to get involved, take a leadership role.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so just to orient people, I am in Kissimmee, right? So South Orlando, and you are a recent homeowner in Orlando.
Yes, house owner.
House owner.
I own the condo, but this is a house.
Okay.
Proper house. Yeah.
Cool. And you tore out the yard, of course.
Yeah. When I lived in the condo, we had a balcony. We were on the second floor, so we had a couple plants, but it was screened in. So I never wanted to have pollinator plants because I just thought that's teasing the pollinators, right? But we always talked about when we get a yard, we're gonna do it right. And we moved in here, and then COVID hit, and we weren't going anywhere or doing anything, and it just seemed like this is the perfect time. So we actually engaged Mark Gotts and April McLean from Green Owl Gardens, and they came out and looked at and gave us some recommendations. But it's really, we started with what they suggested, and now it's really kind of trial and error and having fun. But we did it all ourselves. We bought a sharp shovel and a file, and my boyfriend Craig learned how to scrape the ground, and we plotted out pathways and put all the plants in, and we did it in sections, so we took one zone at a time. But yeah, it's a little over about a year and a half old now, and I've turned my boyfriend into a plant person. He would go, he'll shoot me if he knows I'm saying this, but he would go on the Native Plant Society hikes occasionally, and he's a wildlife guy. He's got the camera. He's always like catching birds and stuff. But he'd get a little frustrated with us plant people because he's like, you're out there for 2 hours and you're not going anywhere. Like, I can't do this. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Maybe you don't want to hike with plant people, but now he's got an Instagram for the garden. He is out there every day taking photos of the pollinators, the bugs. He's on iNaturalist. Like, and this is the thing I like to share with people, because I got excited in a botany class and now I'm like, oh my God, plants. He got excited because he's got something to sit outside and watch grow and attract. And so, I am just delighted, and I love sharing that with people because I think like that's all it takes. Just even one little pollinator pot, just put it out there and see what comes. And it's really hard not to, become addicted to the excitement that it brings. It's just so rewarding.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it's, the partner effect is definitely, I was pitching my questions to my girlfriend. I was like, so do you know what the Florida Wildflower Foundation does? Like, she didn't know. And I was like, did you know about the Florida Native Plant Society before you met me? And she was like,
Exactly. But it doesn't always take. So, I've been into this for a long time, but I think now that he's got the hands-on, like, oh, now I get it, because he's doing it and he's experiencing it. And I think sometimes it takes that actual, in real life experience to make that connection.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I mean, hopefully both of us are reaching many more people than,
Exactly.
our partners, getting them, excited and involved in planting native plants.
Yeah.
So, you teach at Rollins or taught at Rollins as well?
I still teach.
Still?
I
Okay,
taught last
awesome.
night. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah. Tuesday nights in the fall.
Awesome. What do you teach?
I teach environmental crisis. Yeah, it's a little bit doom and gloom, but it's also a really great opportunity to hopefully inspire students, young people to, take action and just to make them aware of the bigger picture and how much, all of our actions have an impact, and just kind of really getting them to see it's not just about that decision that I make to do this or buy that, but there's large scale implications, and what can you do? I try to make it positive. It's not always easy, but it's very rewarding. I absolutely love teaching, and I will continue to do so as long as it's feasible with this new role.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's great. And I'm a Rollins grad. I did my undergrad and my master's there, so it's super exciting to now be back as a professor. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I would do that.
It keeps me current too. I have to stay abreast of all these issues because a lot of times they know a lot more than I do now. The students are really kind of on top of things, so it keeps me on my toes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can imagine that. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what is your favorite Central Florida wildflower?
So I can't just pick one. It's so hard. There's so many. But I've narrowed it down to a few in my head because I'm always, trying to prepare for this question.
I'll take a few.
Well, I grew up in Titusville, so I spent a lot of time as a teenager, especially, and even as a young adult, and now actually, Canaveral National Seashore and Merritt Island National Wildlife Refuge. So I really have an affinity for the coastal wildflowers. I love marsh gentian. I love seeing that in bloom. And I don't know if now is a good time to show photos, but I did have some pulled up. You see that?
Yep.
Yeah. So marsh gentian, I love the intricacies of plants, especially flowers. And, this is just such a stunning, array of purple. And I love that contrast with the yellow anthers and the green the ovary, and it's so amazing to see that kind of color in nature. And the first time I saw this plant, I was like, oh my gosh, what the heck is that? And now it's just one of my favorites to see, and it reminds me of the coast so much. So again, that's kind of where I played as a teenager, where I skipped school. I spent a lot of time hiding out in the refuge, because who's going to come out there and look for a teenager who doesn't want to be in high school, right? So yeah, that's one I really like. In the summer, I really like to go out in the scrub, and I know the scrub is brutal in the summer, but it's really good for wildflowers. I love tar flower, which this is a Dicerandra, but Savage Christmas Creek is, East Orange County, not far from me. And it's a great place to see tar flower. And it's just, again, I love that diversity of flower form and looking for the ones that really stand out. And, this one stands a little taller than a lot of the scrub plants, so it's really easy to spot. But it's just absolutely beautiful. I super get excited. I can geek out on flowers for a long time. I get super excited to see Legodesmia, Rose Rush. Mm-hmm. And this one was actually on the Pinellas Trail, but you see this a lot in pine flatwoods, and it's pretty prevalent around, but it's such a dainty, pale flower that, it just isn't easy to spot. It's solitary. You don't get these big pops or these big massive blooms. So when I do see it, I get really excited, and I just think it's such a sweet, delicate wildflower.
So this one, I have a personal life goal to get everyone to stop calling it rose rush and start calling it Florida skeleton plant.
Ooh, I like that.
Because Texas has a Legodesmia, and they call it Texas skeleton plant.
Ooh,
because
Rose Rush never made sense to me.
I mean, what's rushing about it?
And really, what's rosy about it either?
It's really more purple or light purple, right?
Well, yeah, it's not rose in color, and it's not rose in Rosa species. So I love that Florida skeleton flower.
Well, plant is the Texas one. Okay. I mean, if you want flower, we can work on that one.
No, let's get continuity in our common names, right? I love that. I will champion that effort. Legodesmia is fun too, though. This is probably going to be an embarrassing moment when I look back on it, but I really like to find song melodies that align with scientific names. So, and I'm not going to sing here because this is public.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, sorry, no. But Sanitarium by Metallica is really good chorus to go along with a lot of scientific names, because it's a 5-3 syllable, and Legodesmia aphylla is one of those that I do. But this is what goes on in my head when I'm out in the field by myself looking at plants, is singing scientific names. You can edit this out, right? For future.
Yes, but only afterwards. The live audience is definitely getting it. I love yellow milkwort. This is a photo I took that I really like, because it was just kind of peeking among the hat pins. But I'd love to go to Hal Scott Preserve, again, out in East Orange County, in summer, late summerish, because there's just these massive patches of yellow milkwort, and it kind of reminds me of the Yellow Brick Road and the Wizard of Oz. It's just, it's so pretty. Yellow is one of those happy colors, it makes me smile when I see it. So I like that a lot. When I'm talking to people about plants, I do a lot of talks about, adding native plants to your landscape, or, creating habitat in your yard. And I like to feature Florida Green Eyes. And this is actually one my boyfriend took I told you he has an Instagram for our yard. This is it. But Florida Green Eyes is, I like it because it has a secret. Do you know its secret? How it's a secret? How am I supposed to know?
I don't know, because I know. No, Well, I discovered this on a hike with my friend Grace Howell, who's very active in Native Plant Society. A lot of people probably know her. We were in the Panhandle and we came across a different Berlandiera species. And I was looking it up in Walter Taylor's wildflower book. And I read a little note that said, it smells like chocolate. And I was like, what? It smells like chocolate. And so we got out of the car and we started sniffing the flowers and oh my gosh, it smells like chocolate. Well, it turns out all Berlandiera species smell like chocolate. So when the ray flowers are in bloom and they've got that kind of reddish color, the anthers are poking out, if it's a single flower, you kind of have to stick your nose up in it. But I was at Mead Garden a couple weeks ago, and in the Sandhill area that Tarflower Chapter is planting, they have this this area that is just a lot of green eyes, and they were all in bloom. And I'm just walking along the trail, like, oh my gosh, it smells like someone's making brownies in the neighborhood. Like it was so prolific. So yeah, it's a really fun one, and it's super easy to grow. It's available at all of our native nurseries. So it's a really good plant to introduce people to who are just starting out and, adding natives to their landscape. And then I get to wow them with the chocolate story too. So
yes, we have some comments about the chocolate scent in the comments. And then Anissa also popped in and said yellow milkworts are the cutest with lots of exclamation points.
Aren't they? I know. Well, that's what I loved about this picture is like, I was just taking a picture of the hat pins and like, oh my gosh, there's one little guy poking out. But so those are good Central Florida ones, but I have to say that my favorite spots to see wildflowers are really up in the Panhandle. And again, Grace Howell, who I mentioned, I've had just amazing trips with her because she knows that area so much. And she's also kind of got a spidey sense for really cool wildflowers. So we've gone up to the Panhandle quite a few times together and gone out looking for pitcher plants. So I got to see white top pitcher plants this last year up at Blackwater River, which I'd never seen before in my life. And it's just absolutely amazing. Seeing orchids and butterworts. I'm trying to remember what photos I have up here. And Gulf Coast lupine, just flowers I've never seen in person because you don't find them here locally. So, and my favorite, because I had to steal the name from my Instagram because I just love this plant. This is sandbog death camas, which I think it only grows in a couple of counties in the Panhandle, or maybe it's a little more widespread, but you find it on roadsides and it gets pretty tall. But again, just look at the intricacy of that flower. It's amazing. And the nectar glands, those are all nectar, not glands, but nectar spots at the base of the petals. And don't lick them, they're toxic. Found that out after the fact, but it's just, I just love the diversity of species that we have here in Florida. And, it's especially our wildflowers, but even our plants, it's just never dull going out and seeing what you can find.
Okay, but you didn't die.
No. No, we just barely, we knew it could be bad. And we should have read Walter Taylor's entry in his wildflower book before we tried it. But we read it as we were trying it. So we knew not to go any further. It's very sweet though. It does have a honey-like taste to it, but I don't know how much you need to ingest for it to be toxic, but I'm not willing to take that chance.
Right.
But for all those other curious people out there who feel the need that we did, don't do it. So yeah, anyway, that's me getting a little goofy over wildflowers.
That was fantastic. And your intimidating Instagram handle.
I know, right? I think what I say in my description is not a metal band, because that's what it sounds like to me.
It sounds like we do have a question from the audience.
Yeah.
Bruce Holst asks, who pollinates chocolate scented flowers?
Well, I know bees are attracted to Berlandiera. I don't know if the chocolate scent has any attractive, obviously there's got to be a purpose because it's nature. But that's not, I don't know. I haven't looked into that. I think I just got stuck on, it smells like chocolate. That's super cool. But I wonder what that does attract.
I mean, I've seen the larger bees, the honeybees, bumblebees, on them, but I mean, I really haven't sat there and watched them.
Yeah, no, I'm sure there's some information out there that now I'm intrigued to go to go look and see.
And almost every presentation about any plant, everybody wants to know about the pollinators, so that's great. And we probably need more pollinator research out there.
There's a lot of opportunity, that's for sure.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about you. I mean, we have established that you're awesome. So,
Thank you.
but we should probably talk about the foundation some that you are now leading, at least in a staff capacity.
Yes.
So I would like to express my deep appreciation for supporting the 3 federal botany bills in the last session that we also supported as Florida Native Plant Society. So thank you. And then also for opposing the MCOR's toll roads project. So super appreciate that. And so I was sort of wondering, I wanted to talk about like, what kind of goals do you have for the foundation moving forward?
Wow. Well, we have a lot of really great programs in place. And, in the last few years when we did our strategic plan, we've kind of pivoted toward really trying to focus on habitat corridors. And so I'm really lucky to be stepping into this role behind Lisa Roberts, because she's really built a foundation that is, well, literally the foundation, but also, the foundation of this organization is strong and clear. And so I have a lot of opportunity to just build on what we've already started doing. Our roadside program has been really successful, especially in the Panhandle. And I'd like to see that expanded statewide. In the Panhandle, we've got an amazing group of volunteers. Many of them are Native Plant Society chapters and members, which is, wonderful. We have over 700 people involved in that program. That program, those volunteers are watching those roadsides, and they're helping bring awareness to the importance of what exists there in terms of wildflowers and native plants along the roads, but also helping to change roadside maintenance regimens, which, if we reduce our mowing and change some of the practices that are common, that actually allows those wildflowers to bloom and to bloom longer, providing resources that we know pollinators need, and allows them to reseed in many cases. So we are assured of, future generations. So building on that success, we did recently expand our efforts into North Florida, into District 2, which is, just kind of the Big Bend over to Duval County. And Gina Hill's been working there to, if people know her, I don't want to throw out names if no one knows who people are, but she's been working with us to kind of really ramp up that program in that area and get more people involved so that we can replicate what's happening in the Panhandle. We're also working in East Orange County or East Central Florida a little bit. But again, I'd love to take this program statewide, but it takes a lot of people. It takes a lot of partners and volunteers, because even though we're a statewide organization, we're only a few people kind of running the show. And so we can't be everywhere, and we rely on volunteers to inform us of things that are happening when mowing is taking place when it shouldn't, or when there are areas that we want to maybe get designated a wildflower area to ensure some level of protection. So, it's going to take me a while to get settled into my role and to get some new staff in place to help, pick up, fill some of the holes that are left now that it's just me and my other staff person, Rose Canan. But there's a lot of opportunity. I'm really excited about the direction we're heading in with habitat corridors and finding ways not only on roadsides, but with that grant program, so we can encourage those types of plantings in urban and suburban areas, and continuing to do the work that we do, talking to individuals about the importance of turning their landscapes into part of a larger habitat. So, there's a lot of opportunity. I'd like to see us, have more of a role in advocacy, but it's just identifying what those opportunities are and then trying to get the right people in place to help move that forward.
Right. So when you're talking about like expanding a program, you have like a contract person sort of managing in a particular area.
Yeah. So we have Liz Sparks in the Panhandle, who is our liaison between the organization, the foundation, and the Department of Transportation. And she works with all those volunteers in all the Panhandle counties to, address the issues that are coming up. And that's what Gina is too. Gina is a contractor with us who, again, is trying to build that program in Alachua in particular, but then all those surrounding counties as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, it might take having somebody who can dedicate their time to overseeing those people and be able to create those positions in other districts. But, it's going to take a little while to get there, and it's going to take a little while to get the buy-in of people and municipalities and other parts of the state too.
Right. I mean, you guys have done a fantastic job, and I know it's been pretty regional, but this would definitely be something great to expand even further. We actually just had a question in the chat. How can local Native Plant Society groups help and get involved?
Well, if your county does not have a wildflower resolution in place, that's a good place to start. And I can actually, if I can share my screen again.
Yeah, you should be able to.
I can bring up, I've been doing Zoom for a year and a half and I still can't find the share button. Well, I can't see that, but I think this is where we want to be. We have a lot of resources on our website, but if you go to our Protect page, flawildflowers.org, you can scroll down and see a map of the state, and any county that's green already has a resolution in place. And so the resolution is something that the county commission can adopt that just basically says that they're willing to work for wildflowers. They're willing to, hear the what do you want to say? To work with DOT or to work with county roadside managers or other people to, manage properly for wildflowers. And so if you have a resolution in place, that generally means that there is, or at least was, someone sympathetic in the county government that you can go to when you see something that's being mowed improperly or at the wrong time, or again, if you see a wildflower area that you think needs to be protected. The yellow counties don't have a resolution, so we are hopeful that volunteers will help with that effort right now while we are unable to get into all of those counties. And again, that's what Gina's efforts will be doing in that District 2 area. But that's a good place to start. And we have a lot of resources. We have this step-by-step guide on our website that tells you how to take action. We've got PowerPoint presentation that you can use to present to governments. You can also talk to Liz or Gina. Liz is unfortunately going to be retiring soon, so we'll be replacing her, but our liaisons are there to help. Even though they're in other parts of the state, they can still provide feedback and guidance for getting those programs started in other parts of the state.
Okay, so Leslie is in Miami, I think, because she says, oof, Miami-Dade needs one.
District 6 is small. It's just Monroe, Miami-Dade, and Monroe mainland and the Keys. And yeah, there's no resolution in place there. So have her reach out to us if she's interested, and we can get her some tools to get started.
Okay. Yeah, so you don't currently have like a contractor there to like work on that. So it would be kind of maybe a slower start, but at least you would have the interest and Native Plant Society chapter ready to kind of step up.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, roadsides are just such a good opportunity because they're open, they're dry, they're sunny, they're areas where wildflowers really tend to thrive. And that periodic mowing can mimic some of the effects of fire. And so you often see fire-dependent species in those areas. The wet ditches are good opportunities too for wet-loving wildflowers. And they're already natural corridors, roadsides are. And so we've, talking about habitat corridors, those are good opportunities for preservation to provide those resources. And the thing that's really, careful maintenance is really key. And so we try to work with roadside managers and the DOT people to get them to change those mowing practices because, less mowing promotes diversity, not only on the roadside, but in those adjacent natural areas too, depending on what roads we're talking about. It's also an opportunity to preserve endangered or threatened species if they're in existence there, but it saves money. And that's something that, that's great for me. For me, it's all about the wildflowers, but when you're talking to municipalities and, when you're dealing with people in political roles, sometimes the money is what they need to hear. And so, we've done research and learned that you can save about $1,000 per mile per year just by adjusting those mowing schedules and reducing them. And I mean, that's a lot. And that's taxpayer money, So that's important to not only the municipalities, but the people that are supporting them too.
Yeah, totally.
And I should mention FNPS has been a really great partner in this effort. I mentioned earlier that like in District 3, a lot of those volunteers are FNPS members and chapters. And now we've got this great partnership at the state level, working on roadsides and targeting species for relocation when there's construction efforts or construction projects slated. Bringing Bob Farley on has been great. And for those who don't know, Bob Farley is another one of our contractors, but he was the wildflower project manager for FDOT in the Panhandle until he retired recently. And so now he's monitoring the FDOT roadside construction projects. So we, we'll know ahead of time about areas that need intervention, and we'll be able to go in and rescue those plants before, the machines come in. So.
Yes.
So yeah, it's been great. I'm excited. This is an area that I haven't been wholly involved in because Lisa's done a lot of it. But I've been, kind of getting up to speed on what we're doing with with FNPS. And it's just really exciting to know that we've got partners with, our missions are so similar. It only makes sense to work together in these efforts and do the things that we as organizations do best. You guys are amazing at plant rescue and relocation. So, it's just another opportunity.
Yeah, it's definitely our jam. And I mean, we've been pretty much focused on plant rescue in Central Florida. We've been trying to empower our chapters to do more plant rescues as they see them. So it happened in Volusia County recently with some pine lilies. And then, we have Lily. So Lily was just our Terrae Keepers coordinator.
Yeah.
But now she's our director of North Florida programs and she's full time.
That's awesome.
Right? And so she's, checking for plant rescues and coordinating with DOT. So, hopefully we can make sure that, none of this great, plant, what am I trying to say? These individual plant populations with unique genes are not lost just because a road needs to be widened or somebody forgets to, change the mowing schedule when they should have changed mowing schedule.
Yeah, it's important. And, it's, again, I'm excited about how we can work together on that and how we have been working together on that.
Yeah. It's not like just a brainstorming session, like we've already been doing it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, we know how much more this kind of thing needs to be done, but we have been trying really hard. Okay. Wow, I think we pretty much covered. Wow. Except I have, okay, one last question. What is your favorite edible native plant?
Ooh. Well, that's hard. I mean, as far as like a flower, and I will say, don't pick all the flowers, don't eat them all if you're into eating plants. I always say that on my hikes and remind people that just because we can eat it doesn't mean we want to take it from wildlife. But that said, I really like blue porterweed. It's one of the only flowers that actually has a flavor. A lot of the flowers that are edible don't seem to taste like much. They're just kind of, fun to show people that you can eat them. But blue porterweed, as tiny as that flower is, it tastes like a vanilla mushroom.
Oh yeah.
It's got that sweetness and that earthiness. And I really like to eat that one. And I like to chew on pine needles because they're they're pretty interesting. They kind of have that lemony citrus flavor, but still a little piney, not to be obvious, but
What? Really? No. Come on.
yeah. Can you believe that? But they're fun to chew on. And I do like firebush. Firebush, the seeds are kind of yucky and they do hurt the back of, they irritate the back of my throat sometimes. But the flesh and the juice, when you get it just at the right time, and it's such a small window. Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. You got to get them. They go through that kind of evolution of color. And when they're nice and like blackish purple and shiny, right before they start to get shrivelly like a raisin. So there's still it's almost like the juices inside of pushed as far out. So that skin looks really tight.
Yeah, it's really tight. Yeah. I mean, I've seen that. Yeah.
That's when you want to eat it. And it's sweet, not super strong, but yeah, it's sweet. It's juicy. It does have a lot of little seeds in it. And, I do try to spit them out because sometimes it irritates my throat. Not always. It's not harmful. It just is like, oh, what did I swallow? But yeah, that's a good one too. There's lots of fun native plants. Our native cucumber is amazing. But that's this big and looks like a little Smurf's watermelon or something.
Oh my God. Leslie is asking what other things can be eaten. Well, Leslie, did you know that I did a lunch and learn on really basic edible native plants? So you can eat a lot of things that we have.
Oh yeah.
Let me pop the link in well, no, I don't have time to look for it. But anyways, you could just Google edible native plants, Florida Native Plant Society, and it should be the first thing that comes up. And it's me back when I wasn't so good at this whole live stream thing. So forgive the quality of that broadcast, but all the information is there. And then Peg Lands wrote a book on edible natives that the Florida Native Plant Society published.
Yes, that was my entryway into this world of edible plants. I had the old I've got both, but I had the old version, which she and Dick Durling did, and line drawings and just a little bit more basic. And then they had the newer version that's got a lot more. And it has recipes, lots of fun stuff. But yeah, I owe a lot to her and what I learned from that book.
It's I have the old one somewhere, and I think Florida Native Plant Society helped republish the new one.
The new edition?
Yeah. And so they're both good, but I think you can easily buy the new edition on Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have a talk on edibles too.
Oh, you do?
Wildflower Foundation.
Oh.
Yeah, I did one of our webinars, on edible plants.
Yours is probably better.
Why would you say that? There's probably a lot of overlap, but I bet we covered some different species too. I need to check yours out because you didn't know about firebush, and I bet there's a whole lot that I don't know about that I can go check out on yours.
Well, one of my favorite sayings, why not both?
Exactly. So what's your favorite edible native? It's hard to pick one, isn't it?
Well, okay, so sensation-wise, I would say toothache grass.
Oh, yes. That's another one Grace introduced me to in the Panhandle. Yeah, that's a fun one.
Yeah, I mean, of course, and the little flower heads, seed heads, I mean, they just look so freaking cool.
Yeah.
There's a place in Triple N that it's like these little very small depressional wet prairies, and they're all toothache grass.
Oh, nice.
So that's really
Where's Triple N? I don't know Triple N.
Okay, so you know where 192 is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so basically, if like halfway, so Tosahatchee comes down,
Yeah, yeah.
so it comes down to meets 192. So to the west of that, there's Deseret Ranch, which is gonna be developed basically. Okay, and then there's Bull Creek and Triple N, and they're like,
Okay.
oh, I just knocked down my microphone. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so they're a big chunk of conservation land that basically is covering that St. Johns River.
Nice. Okay, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then Leslie asked a really hard question that I don't know the answer to. She asks, do other states also have similar programs, and which states have great programs in place?
Are we talking about roadside programs?
I think, yeah, this was back when we were having roadside wildflower discussion.
Oh gosh. I mean, other than Texas, I really don't know. That's something I probably should know though.
We should,
Yeah, I'm sure other states do. I mean, I know Texas because a lot of our work is modeled on what we've learned from the Texas Roadside Program and Lady Bird Johnson. But I don't know. I'll have to look into what other states are doing.
yeah, you guys don't have like a umbrella wildflower foundation, like where you could
No,
have a conference or have a teleconference even.
no, we don't. Yeah, you guys have like the Plant Society of the United States, so that's kind of cool.
I mean, it's not super well organized. I mean, it's not like I have like friends in the New England Wildflower or the, Louisiana
Yeah,
Native Plant Society. I mean, that would be cool. I would love that, but
not yet. Just say not yet,
not
and
yet.
we can work toward that. But yeah, we don't have any sort of association that kind of binds us with other states. So, but that's interesting and definitely something for me to look into.
Yeah, really good question.
Yeah,
Do you want to pitch your license plate?
sure. Is that okay?
Yeah.
to do here?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Can I show it?
Yeah, show it.
Okay. Let me get my. Wasn't prepared for that one.
I'm sorry. I should have put that in the
All right.
question list.
I should have. Should always be prepared, right?
Yes.
The wildflower tag. There we go. Oh, and I've got. Okay, let me share this. So yeah, this shows our old one too. So yeah, if you have the plate or if you get the plate, whether you have that old look or the new one, that both still support us. I know there's still a lot of old ones out on the highway, but we're definitely a lot happier with the new design. But yeah, this is our primary funding source, or at least a big part of our funding comes from the tag, and that's what pays for all of our planting grants and a lot of our work on roadsides and all the habitat that we're trying to help create. So yeah, we encourage you to get our plate. I know we're competing a little bit on that level, and that's a little bit awkward, but thank you for letting me at least mention, because this is a big part of what allows us to do the work we do.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
So so we have a plate too. It is, as you can see, a little more camo flavored. Got a saw palmetto in the center, and you can go to our website to pre-order your voucher. So we are behind. So you guys have your plate. It's ready to go. You could buy it at, you just walk into DMV and you can get it. And ours is not there. It's just in the voucher stage. So that's really nice. And then I wanted to, just before we wrap up, the Ocklawaha River is a not very well-known river, especially amongst people who don't live in that sort of north central Florida area. But it is a dammed river, and there is a chance right now to maybe breach that dam. So I'm wearing a shirt on the Great Florida Riverway, and this is a shirt that you can purchase in our Teespring store currently, which we have a discount running, and the discount is October FNPM. OCT FNPN, and I'm gonna drop that in the thing because it's Florida Native Plant Month. Woo! October.
Yes.
Okay. And so also you should go and fill out this form because it is about to the survey is about to close. And this is the first time in a very long time since there's been any public comment in this sort of organized fashion allowed for run by the actual agencies that have something to say about this. So I'm going to drop that link to that form, I've been sending out emails to this effect for a while, so please don't ignore them, and please do that before Friday night. And I will also drop a link into our Teespring store if you want to get one of these t-shirts. They're basically at cost, just like $2 above cost, so you're not really making us any money. It's just, to support and let other people know that it's happening. And then there's our Teespring store. And I think that's all the announcements / pitching that I have to do. Yes.
Can I do one more?
Please.
We have an event coming up that I would love to promote if that's okay. We are doing Stacey, share screen. We are doing a Wine and Wildflowers event on November 29th with Doug Tallamy. It is, so we partnered with Island Grove Wine Company, which is a Florida-based winery in kind of north central Florida. And so for the cost of a ticket, the winery will ship you 2 of their blueberry wines, and they grow the blueberries here in Florida. So it's Florida grown, Florida product. And as part of this, you'll get the 2 bottles of wine ahead of time. Island Grove is going to do a wine tasting experience virtually. This is all happening over Zoom. So you'll have the wine in your own home. But they're going to do a wine tasting. And then Doug Tallamy is coming on to talk about the importance of pollinator pathways and why they're so important to preserve and conserve. So you can check this out on our website, Wine and Wildflowers. You have to get your tickets by November 15th if you want to participate. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to try their blueberry wines and see what that's all about. So anyway, yeah, thanks for letting me share that too.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, some of their blueberry wines are really good. I mean, the sweet ones are a little sweet, but the dry
I'm curious
ones are
about
nice.
the kind of dry, and we're going to do they're doing kind of dry and the Moscato. So we're kind of getting both ends of that palette. But yeah, I'm excited about it. And if you buy a ticket to the event and you want to buy any of their other wines, there's a code that we give you. I think it's just Wildflower, but you can go on there and order wines, and they'll ship those with your ticket order too. So it's a fun way to kind of check out some other Florida fruit wines.
That sounds like an awesome event. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Anything else you want to say to the 37 native plant enthusiasts that are on?
No, just, thanks again for inviting me here and giving me a platform to talk about what we do and wax a little about myself too. I'm really excited to be in this position. And so I just, welcome the chance to talk to you and talk to everyone else out there.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on. And wow. Yeah. It was great to finally get to talk to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And we need to set up a one-on-one and talk some more.
I'm all about
when
it.
we're not so busy.
Right. Oh, that's funny. That's a really good one. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess I'll let everybody go. And thank you again so much for your time. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday evening.
Thank you. You too.